It looks like Becky Lynch will be returning to WWE very soon. This according to a brand new report from PW Insider. We are going to give you all the details we know so far. When can we expect the former WWE Women's World Champion Becky Lynch back in WWE? Why she might be returning? And also, a big question I know many of you have. What happened to the rumors of Becky Lynch to AEW? We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about Rikishi, WWE Hall of Famer Rikishi, going off on Instagram, leading many to believe it is about Jimmy J. Uso. All that much more coming up right here in this video. Be sure to leave a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. All right, let's dive in and talk about the man. Becky Lynch has not been seen on WWE TV in many months now, ever since she lost the WWE Women's World Championship to Liv Morgan on an episode of Raw a couple of months ago. Her WWE contract legitimately expired, and there has been virtually no update since then until now. We can report, according, again, PW Insider, quote, both sources within WWE and Netflix have stated that Becky Lynch is expected to be back in the mix with the company by the time Raw premieres on Netflix. That would mean that Lynch and WWE are close or have confirmed a new agreement between the two sides. So PW Insider laying it down flat for everyone to see. Becky Lynch looks like she is headed back to WWE. She's going to be returning. And the way it's framed there, it sounds like it could be in the lead up to Netflix. The idea that she's back in the mix by the time Netflix comes back, or WWE Raw goes to Netflix, that to me says that there's the potential that she's actually going to be there before that January 6th debut episode on Monday Night Raw. And the reason for that could be actually hyping up that episode, because I would expect, there may be a surprise or two. I would expect maybe John Cena as like an unannounced surprise, quote unquote, even though many people believe he's going to be there. But I do think it's important leading up to that show to have as much hype as possible around it. A lot of the big names, you announce them that they're going to be there. You announce Becky Lynch is going to be there. You announce The Rock is going to be there. You announce Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, etc. They're all going to be there, and that is going to make this episode of Raw must see, because not only do you have the first episode on Netflix, but you have some of the biggest stars returning, some of the biggest stars potentially cutting promos, kicking off new feuds and whatnot. So I could very well see that being the situation there. And that is why Becky Lynch is back. Because at the end of the day, WWE, I think, understands that Becky Lynch is one of their cornerstones. She is one of their biggest stars. Regardless of how many people online feel about her wrestling or whatever, the fact of the matter is Becky Lynch is still one of the best performers on that entire roster. And not many people on that roster get a pop like Becky Lynch does. She, to this day, is one of the most over stars on the entire WWE main roster. And for that reason, WWE obviously sees the value in bringing her back. Now, if we talk about what is next, I think it's very clear for me to see, at least. Becky Lynch left Monday Night Raw the last time after losing the WWE Women's World Championship to Liv Morgan. And that had a little bit of shenanigans with Dominic Mysterio. So I could very well see a situation. A big match for the Royal Rumble, or potentially that second Saturday night's main event show that they're planning to run in January. Either one of those 2 points, I could see Becky Lynch versus Liv Morgan, and that's your little feud leading up to WrestleMania, while Rhea Ripley is recovering from that broken orbital bone that she suffered, a couple of weeks ago. So that's where I think that could be going, and I think there's, a legitimate and good reason to have Becky in that spot, to have her in that storyline, to have her in the world title picture, because she lost that world title under dubious circumstances, you could say, and she wants to get it back. So we'll see what happens, though. But we also have to answer one more question about Becky Lynch, and I know all of you are wondering, why did Becky Lynch or Rebecca Quinn not go to AEW? And a lot of this, as someone who thought at one point that, I thought that Becky was probably headed there, I will say that, the reason is probably the reasons that you're thinking right now. That at the end of the day, Becky Lynch, is a made woman. She can make her decision as to where she goes by herself, and it's always going to be, what's best for her. And at the end of the day, I think there's a level of comfort in WWE, obviously, especially when you're a big star like Becky Lynch, and that is actually a compliment. As many of you may say, oh, the comfort. Wrestlers shouldn't be comfortable. No, wrestlers should be comfortable. Wrestlers should want to have a familiarity and a comfort where they work. That's a good thing. But there's that. There's also, I think, the comfort of, when you're on the road, you are with your spouse. That is a good thing. This is legitimately a good thing. And I could see a place where Becky, who spent the last couple of months with her child, she's very happy doing that, reportedly, which is great. If she's going to be on the road, maybe she wants to take her child with her. Maybe she wants to be around her husband. That is a good thing. So, I think, obviously I can't get too much into the head of Becky Lynch, but I don't think it was anything that AEW may or may not have offered or whatever. But I think it's just more, a lot of people are just going to be comfortable in WWE because the regime has changed. This is a new company, essentially. And as far as, the way they kind of treat their top wrestlers. And I'm sure the money was really good if she's coming back. The money is probably insane, especially with the way TKO is putting her around. So that's why I think you don't see her in AEW. That's why I think you probably won't at this point see her in AEW, at least for a pretty long time. But again, who knows? You never say never in professional wrestling. But Becky Lynch looks to be returning to Monday Night Raw, and she will be at that debut episode on Netflix in Los Angeles. And if you are headed to that episode on Netflix in Los Angeles or any other wrestling show, boy, do I have a deal for you, because today you can save $20 off your next ticket if you use the promo code REALTAKE when you download and sign up for SeatGeek. Let me tell you about it. SeatGeek is the best sports ticketing app out there today. Rates your tickets on a 1 to 10 scale, so you know exactly the kind of deal that you are getting. It also helps you find the best seat available in the house. Easy to use, easy to manage. I use it myself. And today, you guys can save yourself $20 off your first purchase by using the promo code REALTAKE at checkout. That's all you got to do. You click the link in the description below, download the app, sign up, promo code REALTAKE when you go to checkout, and boom, right there, $20 in your pocket to do with whatever the hell you want. Why wouldn't you take that deal? $20 off, promo code REALTAKE off your first purchase when you sign up for SeatGeek. Promo code REALTAKE. How many times can I say promo code REALTAKE? Promo code REALTAKE, promo code REALTAKE. Apparently only once in a row, but promo code REALTAKE, SeatGeek, sign up today. That's my shilling out of the way. And now we are going to move on to potentially more shilling at the hands of WWE Hall of Famer Rikishi. So this is a bit of an interesting story. Rikishi, of course, is the father of Jimmy J. Uso as well as Solo Sikoa. And he has not been quiet about his sons and their use in WWE. He obviously has a podcast. Shout out to the OTT crew. But, Rikishi has been known on Twitter and on his podcast to sometimes say some things that he probably shouldn't say in terms of his sons and his family. But the latest post is what's got a lot of people up in arms. So Rikishi took to Instagram recently and posted this seemingly cryptic post, quote, "No matter your age, it's never okay to speak disrespectfully to your parents." as a son of parents, of course, a son of parents, I will say this. It is hard for me not to read that and be like, oh, yeah, it's definitely about his sons. Like, it's definitely about his kids. Like, he is talking about his kids. You don't post that. You don't post that if it's not about your kids. I think that's pretty clear. Again, it's not confirmed or anything like that, but he did post it, and it would be very shocking to me if this wasn't about specifically the Usos, because we do know that historically there has been some friction between those two sides, at least historically. Obviously, I don't want to dive too deep into the relationship of the Usos and Rikishi, because that's like a whole can of worms that I want to open. That's also, their personal business at the end of the day. But some of the more public stuff that we do know is recently, especially, Rikishi posted or said something on Twitter about praying for Jimmy, like praying for his son, and it turned out that was nothing. It was just kind of Rikishi just being like, whatever, brother, I just wanted to say pray, and a lot of people obviously went to a conclusion that, maybe something had happened, maybe, God forbid, you don't know what happened, but it caused people to make a stir about the Usos in the negative way. And a lot of people are reading into this and saying that, well, potentially somebody said something to Rikishi, one of his sons said something to Rikishi, and Rikishi didn't like that, and he felt disrespected. And look, this is not like the first time. That example is not the only example of the times that Rikishi has brought up his sons. He's talked about Jade being misused. And look, I understand from, if you're someone's son, let's just take the comment that Rikishi said may have taken place out of it. If I were the Usos, I know that personally I would be frustrated sometimes with some of the things that Rikishi says. Because at the end of the day, Rikishi, Hall of Famer, got to respect him, all that kind of stuff. At the end of the day, Jimmy, Jay, and Solo are the ones who are in it day to day. They're in the business. They're in WWE. They are the ones who are the stars right now. And it's one thing to talk about your sons for your podcast. Totally understand that. That's family. But it's another thing to kind of stir the pot in a way that probably isn't helpful and probably frustrates them. Think about you and your own family, right? If you're at work, you're doing your thing and your parents just start crashing out or whatever on your boss, you're going to be like, what's going on? What are we doing? Or if they get involved somehow, you're going to feel awkward. It's going to be not going to be a good situation. So I understand if there would be frustration on the Usos' parts, and that's not excusing. Look, it's not excusing whatever they may have said to Rikishi or what have you, or whatever went down. But I do think Rikishi probably has not done himself any favors by talking about the Usos and their specific situations as publicly as he has. So, little bit of both sides-isms. I know I don't usually do that, but it is the real take truth. Until we have more information, I don't feel comfortable talking about, what was said and all that kind of stuff. But it does seem like something was said. Rikishi felt disrespected, and it probably was something that, was frustration that we're brewing for a while. Regardless, though, I want to hear from you guys. Crash out in the chat or in the comment section. What do you think went down between Rikishi and the Usos? What do you think of Becky Lynch returning to WWE? Why do you think she didn't join All Elite Wrestling? Let me know in the comment section below. Also, be sure to leave a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released.